Hey, how's it going everyone? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be doing another theme park overview. Now, I wasn't planning to do another one so soon, and I'm kind of bending the rules on this one because this isn't really a theme park, it's a zoo. But I recently visited Pairi Daiza for the first time with my girlfriend in southern Belgium, and I was so blown away by it that I thought I need to do a video on this. And another major reason why I wanted to do a video on this is because of the lack of information on the internet about especially the resort side of things. So I thought maybe I can answer a few questions that you may have when you want to go here, so you won't have the same issue as me. So we're going to be splitting this video into two portions. The first one is that we're going to discuss the park itself and everything that you can do there, and in the second half we're going to be talking about the resort and the hotels and all of that sort of stuff. So if that's all you're interested in, you can skip ahead, and if you want to see all of it, well then well, stay tuned. So let's jump right into the video. So because this was our first time, we didn't really know where we were supposed to go. I just followed my navigation system, and it was so weird because we were driving through this old Belgian village, and it wasn't really looking all that good. And then all of a sudden we drove around the corner and boom, there it was, this massive zoo with its amazing entrance. This already makes you feel like you're in an incredibly special place, and that mixed with the amazing fountain that they have up in front makes it even more amazing. This is also where the check-in is located, so if you're staying at the resort, this is where you can give your luggage, and this is also where you'll get your wristband that you can use for the park and the hotel room. Now if you have any luggage, like I said, if it's completely sealed off with a zipper, you can just give it and they'll bring it to your room, so when you finally get to your room, your luggage is right there. This is great because you can just give them your luggage in the morning and you can enjoy the park as you please without having to carry all that luggage around or worry about having to pick it up later. The first thing you'll probably see when you get to the park is the aquarium, which is also a very crowded place early in the morning. It is located in the Cameron by the Sea area, and this area is also home to an incredible number of different types of sea creatures. And this thing just kept going. There were so many moments when we thought, okay, we've neared the end, this is it, only to turn around and see another incredibly long corridor with more fish, so there's a lot to discover here. The real star of this aquarium is a tank that you can kind of walk through, where there are multiple sharks and a giant sea turtle swimming over your head, and there are many other awesome looking fish tanks throughout this aquarium. Aside from the aquarium, this Cameron by the Sea area also has a massive lighthouse that lights up in the evening, and multiple great enclosures including different kinds of seals and the African penguins, which you can walk through. The park has a lot of these walk-through enclosures, including some that have animals in them, of which I didn't even know that was really possible, but we'll get to that later. On our trip, we first went to the left of the park, which is where you'll find the Middle Kingdom. This area is completely based on Chinese architecture and has a lot of Southern Asian animals. You'll probably notice by now that this park spends a lot of time on its theming. Everything looks amazing, and I think this area is one of the best examples of that. In this area you'll find animals like the Asian black bears, the otters, the red pandas, and many more. This area is also home to a lot of very rare animals that you probably won't find at a lot of other zoos, like the giant pandas, the snow leopard, and the golden snub-nosed monkeys. You may recognize these monkeys from that meme a few years ago of the monkey eating the berries. They're a little odd looking, but they're still quite cool. This is actually, I think, the first time I've seen them in real life, because not a lot of zoos have these. This area also has a big aviary, which includes a lot of big birds like the Chilean flamingos. Behind that is another enclosure that includes animals like sloths. And behind that is another enclosed area that you can enter, which has flying foxes. There's also an area which includes gharials, and I've never seen these in real life before, but that was very cool to see. Also, this area has an awesome rope bridge that you can walk along, and it takes you over this area in a cool way. You can kind of see everything around you, and it also has a great top view of a lot of animal enclosures. There's also a shop here based on this area, which includes a lot of products that you could typically find in this area in the world. A lot of areas have one of these shops, and I'll mention them when they come along. On a fun little side note, we got lunch here, and there were a bunch of seagulls just waiting for me to drop something. Now, I didn't feed them anything, but there were two ducks patiently waiting by my feet, and I did feed them a little bit. Yeah. The next area we visited was the Southern Cape, which is based in Australia. It's a little bit of a smaller area, and it includes animals like the koalas. This area also includes an enclosure that you can walk through, which includes wallabies and kangaroos, which I didn't even know you could get this close to. It also includes an enclosure that has Tasmanian devils and one with a wombat. And it has another aviary that you can walk through, which includes parakeets. Well, parakeets themselves aren't necessarily all that special. I mean, I can walk into the nearest pet shop and see them as well. It's kind of cool to see them flying around your head like this. And like I said, this is one of the smaller areas, so this is pretty much all you'll find in this area. Next up, however, is a really big area, the Land of Origins, which is based on Africa. Here you'll find a lot of very famous animals, and a lot that you would expect from most zoos, like lions, gorillas, rhinos, and giraffes. There are so many animals in this area that I'm just gonna leave it up to you to explore all this, but you kinda get the idea. I guess some of the rarer animals in this area include the hippos, the pygmy hippos, and the shoebill. I'm pretty sure this bird has also been memed to death a few years ago, but I understand it. This thing looks absolutely weird, but I think they're actually pretty damn cool. Also, this area has another themed shop and another walkthrough enclosures, which is where you can get very close to the lemurs. The hippos also have a section where you can see into the water through a glass wall, which I think is also quite cool because you can see them swimming by. And with the gorillas, you can also see into the inside section of their enclosure. Also, when we went to the gorilla enclosure, the male gorilla was sitting next to the glass and yawned. And I knew gorilla teeth were big, but damn, that was quite shocking to see in real life. This area also has a big ship, which serves as the reptile house. Just like with the aquarium, this area feels like it never ends. They're just corridors upon corridors. They have so many different kinds of reptiles, like chameleons, monitor lizards, snakes, turtles, you name it, they probably have it. And they also have 2 massive alligators, by the way. As a big reptile lover myself, this was probably one of the coolest areas to go through. At the end of this reptile house, you'll find a little restaurant where you can sit on the deck of the ship and enjoy the view as you're eating. And just as a little tip from me, the pasta's great. Get that. Behind the Land of Origins is probably the most detailed and awesome looking area of the whole park, the Kingdom of Ganesha. This area is completely themed after Indonesia and its animals, with amazing looking temples and architecture. One of the first animals you'll probably come across are the white tigers, and their enclosure is absolutely massive and it is awesome looking. After that, you'll have to walk uphill quite a bit to find yourself at the Black Panther enclosures, and after that you'll find the Asian elephants. The elephants do get a little bit of a special treatment in Pairi Daiza, as the park takes place in a massive breeding program for Asian elephants, and it really shows. I love elephants, they are my favorite animals on the planet. There's always something so epic and majestic about them. They're huge, and I just think they're so spectacular to look at. Remember that I said that, by the way, because it'll be important later on in the video. A little further up is the orangutan enclosure, and this massive temple is probably the most epic looking enclosure in the entire park. They can go inside here, and so can you. This whole thing is made from what looks to be marble on the inside, and it looks absolutely stunning. The orangutans themselves were also an absolute joy to watch. We didn't see them when we first arrived at the enclosure, so we made a little bit of a walk, and then when we came back, there they were. Spooky ghost. They were wearing their blankets like cloaks outside, and they really seemed to love these things, because even when they were climbing, they refused to let go of them. This was probably one of the biggest highlights of our entire stay. You can also get up on the temple, by the way, where you can get an awesome view of the entire park. Some other animals that are included in this area are the porcupines and an amazing looking Komodo dragon. Like I said, I love my reptiles, and the Komodo dragon is like the king of reptiles. It is awesome, it is majestic, and it's huge. Next up is the Island of the Rising Sun, the latest addition to the park, and it's also a little bit of a smaller area. It includes Japanese animals like macaques and tanukis, though we didn't get to see those because they wouldn't come out. Although I love that this zoo gives the animals the freedom to choose whether they want to come out or not, I think that's great. It was a little bit of a disappointment that we didn't get to see the tanukis. And though I think that this area looks amazing, I think this might be the only area that was a little bit of a letdown. Moving on from this is the Land of the Cold, which, as the name suggests, includes a bunch of animals that live in cold areas such as polar bears, reindeer, and walruses. It also has an amazing looking penguin enclosure, which we walked past like 4 times because we couldn't find the entrance. They keep this enclosure cold as hell, but it did end up being one of our favorite enclosures. If you walk just a little further, you'll also find a glass wall where you can watch the walruses swim by every now and then. This area also includes the Siberian tigers, and they have not 1, not 2, but 5 of these tigers within the enclosure. These beautiful big cats were incredibly active during our second day, and we also enjoyed the hell out of this enclosure. A little further up you'll also find an enclosure that includes raccoons and skunks, and one that has these incredible looking Canadian wolves. This area also includes 2 exhibits on prehistoric animals, which include animatronics and some information on what these animals were like when they were alive. One can be found near the penguins, which includes mammoths and animals like that. And the other can be found just a little further from the Canadian wolves, which is where you'll find your T-Rexes, Spinosauruses, and Brachiosauruses. I'm usually not a big fan of these exhibits, because they usually have just boring statues. But this was actually pretty cool. They had animatronics, so they moved a little bit, and you also get a great sense of how big some of these creatures could actually get. Oh, and also, the Land of the Cold has a themed store. Beneath this area you will find the Last Frontier, which is another great area that includes animals like the brown and black bears, moose, sea lions and the puma. There's also a beaver enclosure there, but unfortunately they didn't show themselves either. This brown bear enclosure, however, is absolutely amazing looking. It's incredibly large and there's a walkway high up where you can get an incredibly good look at these animals. The same can be said, by the way, about the black bears, as there's a viewing station that gives you a high view. This area just has a very natural look to it, no crazy temples, no rope bridges, but a very green area with a great view of all the animals. This area also includes another themed shop, and I'm pretty sure it's the last one of the park. And then we arrive at the last area of the park, Cameron Abbey. This is where the petting zoo is located, so I think you can take a wild guess on what kind of animals are here. Here you'll find your goats, sheep, deer, horses, but there's more to it than just that. It also has capybaras, which are my girlfriend's favorite animals, and a walk-through aviary that has these certain kinds of vultures, which felt really odd. I've never gotten so close to these birds before. One even walked up to my girlfriend like he was some tough guy. It didn't feel dangerous at all, but it's just, I've never seen anything like this before, and it was quite cool. This area also has one of those enclosed buildings, which has like a tropical climate with a bunch of tropical plants and animals like armadillos and meerkats. And it also has another rope bridge, a smaller one. This area also has something called the Crypt, which is a sort of cave that you can enter with bats flying around. There was nothing between you and those bats, by the way, they were just flying around you. That was quite a strange sensation, but an awesome sight to behold. And a little further up you'll find a cave with a bunch of naked mole rats, which are ugly as hell. It also might be fun to mention that Daiza is currently working on a massive expansion in the form of a massive indoor jungle, but there's no opening date to this yet, so yeah, you're gonna have to wait for that a little while. And that was pretty much everything at the park. There is, however, one more thing that I think is worth mentioning, which is the steam train. A ticket to this train will set you back an additional $6.50 per person, but I think if you want the full experience, then it's pretty worth it. It takes you across pretty much the entire park and lets you see a bunch of these enclosures through a different view. And remember when I told you that elephants are my favorite animals? Well, this train took you around the Asian elephant enclosure and showed you many more locations where they have more of these elephants, including one where they keep the big male elephant. Oh wow. And what a sight to behold that was. It was absolutely spectacular. I felt like we got so close to this guy and he really did his best to show how great he was. This was worth the price of the ticket alone, in my opinion. And that's pretty much all I wanted to discuss when it comes to the park. So let's move on to the resort, because I'll tell you, you'll really need a resort if you want to be able to experience everything fully, because this park is absolutely that big. The amazing thing about the hotels here is that they bring you incredibly close to some of the animals. There are a bunch of different hotel options which bring you close to different kinds of animals, like the polar bears, the walruses, the penguins, the Siberian tigers, the sea lions, the petting zoo, or the brown bears. The brown bear rooms, by the way, look like hobbit holes, and I absolutely love that. A bunch of these hotel rooms have glass windows that look into the enclosures, so like I said, these animals can come up to these windows and just sit right next to them so that you can get incredibly close to them. And another thing that's great about these hotel rooms is they are on the premises of the park, so you don't need to leave the park to go to your hotel. Me and my girlfriend stayed at the Farmhouse Lodge, which is next to the petting zoo. That was one of the cheaper options, but don't get me wrong, these resort options are quite expensive. At first I thought that maybe this was a little too childish, but we had an absolute blast. A stay at the Farmhouse Lodge comes with a bag of food, which you can use to feed the animals. On our second day, early in the morning, we went outside and we fed some goats, some sheep, deer, and even an albino wallaby. Be prepared and bring a clean pair of pants though, because they will jump up to you.
Ja, die vindt het minder...
Now, if you're curious about all the different options in terms of hotels, you can look at the website. There are a bunch of images that show you what these hotel rooms are like and what animals you'll get close to. I'd say the brown bears, looking from outside of the enclosure, got really close to the window, so that was actually quite cool to see. I think maybe that would be a great option as well. But like I said, it's all up to you, and especially in terms of like what your budget is, because like I said, these hotel rooms can get quite expensive. Now when it comes to restaurants, with your stay, dinner and breakfast is included. There are 3 big restaurants which can be included in your stay: the Moki, the Isba and the Octopus. With our stay we had dinner at the Isba, which is a buffet, so there's pretty much something for anyone. Whether you want your veggies or you just want some fries, there's something for you there. Now if you've looked at the website, you may see that these restaurants close quite early. But that doesn't count for you. You as a resort guest will have a seat assigned in the evening after the park closed, and you can enjoy your meal for as long as you like. I really wanted to discuss this especially because I had a lot of questions about this because there was barely any information about the restaurants on the website. So there you go. Another thing that is included in your stay is the wellness center. Shortly before your stay, you'll probably get an email about this where you'll be taken to a link. You can make a reservation at the wellness center. Now, me and my girlfriend, we're not really these wellness junkies, so we didn't do this. But, I mean, it's included, it's free, so if you do like that kind of stuff, like a spa, you can do it in the evening. It's free, so if you want that, go do it. There are some other tips that I'd like to share with you. Some important pieces of information, like parking, because resort guests will have special parking place. That is special for them, which is right in front of the entrance, and I mean it is right in front of the entrance. We parked our car, and I'm pretty sure we had to walk like 100 meters to get to the entrance. It was that close. Another thing is that this area that includes all the resort, which is the Land of the Cold, the Last Frontier, and Cambron Abbey partially, is available 24 hours a day for resort guests, so you can technically take a nighttime walk if you'd like. You'll probably not see that much in the evening when it gets dark, but do with that information what you will. You can technically, like I said, take a nighttime walk. Resort guests also have early entry to the rest of the park, so you can visit an hour earlier before everyone else enters the park. And as a resort guest, you'll also have access to certain feeding times. You'll get a brochure once you check in, and there all the times will be included. I'm pretty sure it's like the polar bears, walruses, the Canadian wolves, penguins, animals like that. You can watch the feeding times, and it's quite fun. We did that for the walruses and the penguins. Some of them are quite early, so that's why we didn't go to, for instance, the polar bears. But that's also quite cool. And I think that includes pretty much everything that I wanted to discuss. So if you have any other questions, you can ask. I'll be more than happy to help. I will say that, however, all the questions I had were answered the moment we checked in, because we got so much information when we checked in. Like I said, all my questions were immediately answered. But like I said, if you like to be prepared like I was, I tried to search for this information, but a lot of it was quite absent. So there you go. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you'll enjoy your stay at Pairi Daiza if you decide to go there someday. So for now, I'd like to thank you guys all for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more content like this. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed it and if it helped out. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye!